This bill is one of the most violent, greedy, out-of-touch pieces of legislation we've seen in a minute, and is designed to hurt regular people and make rich folks even richer. Let's talk numbers. If you make under $30,000 a year, the government used to help a little. Tax credits, SNAP benefits, housing assistance. Well, this bill cuts all of that. You're now set to lose over $1,000 in benefits a year. Now, if you make over $1 million a year, you're getting an extra $48,000 back, just handed to you through tax cuts. Here's what the bill actually says. It aims to streamline redundant federal programs and eliminate disincentives to upward mobility. Sounds harmless, right? But in plain English, that means cut food stamps, shrink housing vouchers, roll back Medicaid, gut the earned income and child tax credits, kill off anything that actually helps poor and working class families survive. Think about a single mom working 2 jobs to feed her kids. That child tax credit might have been the only reason they had food on the table. Now, gone. Think about your grandmother on insulin who relied on Medicaid. Good luck navigating upward mobility when you can't even afford medicine. And they really said this promotes economic freedom. What? Freedom for who? This bill doesn't just redistribute wealth, it concentrates it. At the top, they are robbing the poor to pay the yacht club. And here's the wildest part. They know we don't read the fine print. They know we're too busy surviving to keep up with what's happening on the Senate floor. So they tuck this attack, which it is an attack, into a feel-good name, the big, beautiful bill. But behind closed doors, it's just policy warfare. And the targets, black folks, Latinx families, low-income white people, disabled folks, elders, kids, the most vulnerable. They're calling this a return to fiscal discipline. But it's not about budgeting, it's about values. And their values? Profit over people, power over equity, corporations over community. So don't let them gaslight you with big words and smiling faces. We got to name this for what it is. Legislative violence. The big beautiful bill is nothing but a big ugly scam.
Hello, my beautiful people. I hope you're well and welcome back to my channel. So, Black Americans are watching in shock right now. While working families are struggling to put food on the table, send their kids to school, and pay the rising bills, the Senate just passed Trump's so-called big beautiful bill, and it's anything but beautiful for the average American. The bill cuts $1 billion from Medicaid, stripping over 16 million people of basic health care, including seniors, low-income families, and the disabled. And guess what? The rich get richer, while the poor and middle class pay the price. So much for the America First, alright? Let's break it down, exactly what just happened, and why millions of Americans are so furious today. Let's dive into it.
The beginning of the end is here for the USA. Trump's big beautiful bill was just passed by the Senate, which many have referred to as the worst bill in US history. Basically, this bill is so that you can become a debt slave for the rest of your life. And for many of you, they're throwing your future away. This is the first generation of Americans that will live a more difficult life than their parents. Around 20 million people are going to lose their health care due to Medicaid cuts, according to experts. And it's also expected that your health care premiums will rise up to $26,000 a year. They're ending food assistance for the poor, and they're going to starve rural hospitals of resources and funds. ICE is now a secret police, and they have been granted secret police powers. Most of you are going to have to pay more in taxes this year than you did last year. But at least the billionaires got their tax break, right? Food assistance for kids, homeless, veterans, renewable energy was all blocked by Republicans. They're going back to burning coal. So get used to having more blackouts and more polluted air.
So I just started my second week of medical residency as a doctor, and I came home to the news that Senate Republicans have passed a bill that cuts nearly $1 billion from Medicaid. For those who don't know, Medicaid is a program that helps low-income families, kids, seniors, people that are disabled, afford basic health care. It covers 1 in 4 Americans. And I wish every senator who voted for this had to shadow a doctor like me for just one day. They'd see the patients that I had to talk to about affording their chemotherapy, mothers rationing their kids' insulin because they can't afford it, and people dying too young, not because medicine failed them, but because finances did. No one should have to fight this hard to survive in the richest country in the world. But right now, this bill is being sent back to the House to be debated on again. If there ever was a time to call your representatives, especially for those of you living in red states, the time is now. I've only been a doctor for a week, and I've already had to have these conversations. And if this bill truly passes, they'll only become more frequent.
Look, I voted for Trump, and I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not down with this big, beautiful bill. And let me tell you why. People say all the time, oh, you Trump supporters are in a cult. No, we're not, because we are not in blind obedience to one individual. We are more than willing and happy to criticize our own, and that is how it should be in the political arena. We see so much in this big, beautiful bill that actually is the opposite of much of what we actually voted for. We see a continued increase in spending, unnecessary spending. Not only that, but we also see the increase and encroachment of AI. We see funding of pet projects that we do not agree with. And we are going to raise our voices against it, as any well-educated electorate should do. You know, Elon Musk is right in calling it a disgusting abomination. And I think that the Trump administration needs to realize just how damaging it will be if we wind up passing this bill, continue this trend of wasteful spending, and then wonder why individuals don't show up in the midterms to vote for this continued irresponsibility. The reason people voted for Trump is because we want to see fiscal responsibility. We want to see an end to waste, fraud, and abuse. And we don't want Republicans to say one thing and do another. That's what people on the left are very accustomed to, is their politicians saying one thing and doing another. They're just used to it at this point. They have Stockholm syndrome. But we demand better, as we should. That's why I myself, and many others like me, do not agree with this big, beautiful bill, and want to see it actually redrafted to only include the things that matter to average, everyday Americans. Those are my thoughts, and I'm curious what yours might be.
Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to leave Americans big-backed and broke. And unfortunately, you won't have health insurance either, so death is imminent.
It is too early for this shit. I'm thinking about Trump, of course. And Trump was able to get a cryptocurrency, right, for his wife, himself, and his son, right? He was able to get a brand new Air Force One plane from Qatar. I'm gonna go any day now. He was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. We don't care. Anyway, so I'm like, how is he able to do this, but yet cut all these benefits for people? Make that make sense. But then I thought about it. Every single senator is a millionaire. Every single one. So they haven't walked into the grocery store and put their card in like B. Simone and it didn't work. Congressional Budget Office now estimates that the new Senate bill budget, if passes, 11.8 million Americans will be uninsured. That's nuts. That's nuts. It will add 3.9 trillion to the debt. It will make ICE the largest law enforcement agency. It would have more funding than the Bureau of Prisons. Y'all wanted to argue in my comments about rounding up black people, but I can tell you right now, if this bill passes, you'll see higher electricity costs. Now, in Georgia, our electricity bill got to be $300 or $400. This is a big house. It's got to be $300 or $400 a month. We argue already about whether the air conditioner is going to be on 74. We're going to feel the air, or is it just on for razzle dazzle at 79? Okay. There's a union called the North American Building Trades Union. If this bill passes, over 1 million construction jobs would be lost. We need as many good construction people as possible. It would also be the largest food assistance cut for veterans, kids, and families. Why would you want to do that? But I guess if you're a senator, you probably don't care because you don't have to worry about food insecurity. More than $930 billion would be cut from critical programs like Medicaid, which is more than what the bill already passed from the House of Representatives. And the bill is not finalized yet. If you feel like the tables have turned on you and you're not getting what you voted for, it's time for you to call your senator, call your representative, your congressman, make sure your voice is heard. Am I going outside? I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I'm still on the fence. Am I going outside? Yes, I'm going to go support my people for real. The Haitians being rounded up is ludicrous. And as bad as y'all want to think that we're exempt, that the descendants of slaves are babies, y'all, Haitians are us. Like, all of us. Like, just to be held in a detention center by mistake because you didn't have your ID. Your son doesn't have a license yet. Your grandmother can't find her birth certificate. Imagine that. But they have to sit in this detention center until they can prove it. Just even if it's for 5 days. Come on, y'all. It's time to rally up now. It's time to rally up.
A big, beautiful bill. 1,000 pages. And did I read it? No. Did your local congressman? No. But let's talk about what I do know, okay? 10 million people could lose health insurance. Listen, I know we all gotta die, but we might as well go bankrupt on the way out because this is what this bill is going to do. Cut clean energy. Listen, those solar powers you have will no longer give you a tax credit or savings. You know what? Just hug your light bill like it's a heat lamp during the apocalypse. It adds $3 trillion to the national debt, which could cause interest rates to go up. You had dreams of owning a home, didn't you? Baby, you can rent forever. While the richest Americans get a giant tax cut. But guess what? We're going to be the ones paying more. We're going to be the ones losing coverage. And they're still going to be flying fucking private. He talks about fucking raising minimum wage. They're going to do this and then they're going to expect us to pay more. But minimum wage is still going to be $7.25. Did they forget that minimum wage even exists? Because why has it not been changed in so long? So if someone says Trump backs this bill, so it must be good, ask them good for who? Because this bill is not America first.
Y'all voted in a fucking supervillain. I'm talking about I have not heard one non-evil plan from this administration. How would a supervillain bring back manufacturing? Like, just think about it. I'm gonna ban abortion, make it really, really hard for people to have control over if they're having kids. And then when they have more kids, I'm gonna not only make it more expensive, but I'm gonna give you a lot less assistance. Them kids gonna have to work. As a supervillain, you know that this plan is not going to be popular. That's not the point. That's not the goal. So what do? You plan around that too. What do I do to keep people quiet? Fund ICE more than the Marines and build a concentration camp. Oh, but you can't just send regular Americans to concentration camps. You're right. So I would start off with the immigrants. Make sure that everybody believes that the people that get sent there are criminals to begin with, and that way when I move on to Americans, nobody's really batting an eye. I've already dehumanized anybody that I would send there to begin with. And I'll pick the perfect group to get this off with, because the way racism works in America, any non-black minority wants to move closer to whiteness. So I'll take the third on the rung minority, convince them that by voting for me, we will bring them close to whiteness, even though they are the most vulnerable to this actual plan. And in true cartoon supervillain fashion, they posted the entire plan, step by step, on their fucking website. And the best part is, nobody stopped it.
Donald Trump just passed the big, beautiful bill, y'all. You know what that mean? No more Medicaid. Y'all ain't hear me. I said no more Medicaid. No more food stamps. No more food stamps. Y'all heard me? I say no more government assistance for the impoverished sectors of America. If you're known for abusing government assistance, not meeting work requirements, finessing every federal agency you can to get by, yeah, your day just ain't today. It's over for you, and I'm going to tell you why. The United States of America lost $1 trillion supporting these different agencies. They did the math. They saw y'all manipulating the funds, and they putting a stop to it. Remember, y'all ain't won't sell me no food stamps? You heard me? Remember you was finessing child support court for the Medicaid? Yeah, the requirements changed. Now that you got to get up off your ass and go to work, don't call my phone asking for gas money, food money. I don't care about your churn. You were stingy with your government assistance. You heard me? We was working hard as a motherfucker and you ain't want to help us out. So now we don't want to help you out. Enjoy the big, beautiful bill.
So I got a legitimate question, right? Why the fuck are we still paying taxes? Nah, I'm being so dead ass because with this new budget bill that just passed, they are cutting trillions out the budget in all the things that make our way of life somewhat palatable. All the different social safety nets that people depend on to get by is essentially being gutted in one way or another. Everything from Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, the FDA, the EPA, FEMA. There's a reason why that tornado was over your head before you even knew about what was happening this past summer. It's because they've been gutting the agencies that would give you the early warning. Like, it's been happening all year, and this budget bill is going to take it to the next level. And we have to remember, they're still taxing us at the same fucking rate. Our taxes are not being cut. Our taxes are not going down. And yet they are cutting trillions out the budget. Trillions of stuff that we fucking need, while also giving the 1% a tax cut. This is robbery. Plain and simple, happening in broad fucking daylight. And when this shit starts to take effect and all of these things that we've depended on and we've taken for granted so far are no longer there because they've been cut, but they still want their fucking money, we gonna have to ask ourselves a serious question. Why the fuck are we still paying taxes? Because what are we supposed to get out of it? You pay taxes to ensure a certain way of life in the area or country you live in. If that way of life is no longer guaranteed and yet they still want their fucking money, they just robbing niggas blind. And to add insult to injury, they giving these billionaires who do not need a tax break. Let me say that one more time. They don't need the money. They're giving them a break. They're giving them their money back. Meanwhile, when you file at the end of the year, you owe. How does that make sense?
A white man telling another white man he will ship his ass back to Africa is diabolical. So the girls are fighting again, and Elon is upset because the big, beautiful bill just got passed. And he said, y'all just voted for the biggest debt increase in history. And let's be for real, Elon, you are not mad about that entire bill. You are mad about the part that affects you. You are mad that the electrical vehicle mandate is about to end. And in true Donald Trump's fashion, he does not care about Elon whining and crying. He said Elon was fully aware of him being totally against the electrical vehicle mandate. Donald Trump said Elon gets more subsidies than any human in history. He said, but keep playing with me. I shut all this shit. Donald Trump said, if you keep playing with me, Elon, there will be no electric cars, no satellites, no rockets. You'll have to pack all your companies up and head back to South Africa. To say our country is ghetto is an understatement.
This bill is going to leave almost 12 million people uninsured. It's going to add almost $4 trillion to the national debt. It's going to cut Medicaid by $930 billion. And it's going to be one of the largest food assistance cuts to veterans, kids, and working class families that we've ever seen in the history of this country. And unfortunately, people will support it. They'll think that it's going to help them, when in fact this big, beautiful bill is one of the worst things that can happen to working class families in this country. Many of these initiatives are aimed at giving tax cuts, funding tax cuts to billionaires, to people who have so much money that they will not be affected by any of the things that happen with this bill. They won't be negatively impacted at all. Those who will be negatively impacted are some way, somehow advocating for this bill, advocating for it to be passed, advocating for this to come to fruition. Understand that this bill is going to reshape and redefine what life looks like for many, many people in a negative way. In a negative way. It's going to hurt people. In this platform, I talk a lot about how are you helping people? Who are you helping and how? This bill is going to hurt people. And if you're someone who believes that it'll somehow help, ask yourself, how is it going to help people? How? Read it for yourself. Look into what it does and realize that there's nothing in this bill to help the majority of Americans. And if you are a Republican, please call your representative because red states are actually going to be affected the most.
The thing that bothers me the most about this big, beautiful bill being passed is people don't understand the magnitude of how this is going to affect America. We got immature people still saying there's no difference between a Democrat or a Republican being in office, even though we all know Kamala Harris would never pass a bill like this. And Republicans are being calculated because they know after passing a bill like this, chances are they're not going to win the up-and-coming election. So a lot of these cuts go into effect at the end of Trump's presidency, so then they can proceed to blame Democrats when they're in office for all the shit that's going to go on in this country. And the most frustrating part, with no child left behind and the average American only reads at a 6th grade level, most people aren't going to do the research needed to know that Republicans fucked up this country. They're just going to take the word of mouth that they've been taking their whole life and just be like, oh, it's a Democrat's fault. I'm going to continue to be a Republican. And this cycle is just going to continue. The Republicans fuck up this country with these stupid budgets that only help the rich. Then the Democrats get in office and try and fix their mess. Then the people automatically forget all the things that Democrats did for them. And they're like, you know, we need a Republican back in office. I need my money fixed. And in reality, Republicans only fix money for the richest of the rich. And I'm just tired of seeing this cycle, and it's disgusting.
This bill is a slap in the face to the very people who built this country but still fight to survive in it. Black families are already struggling with sky-high rents, food insecurity, medical debt, and underfunded schools, and now they're being told, figure it out without healthcare too. The rich will be fine. The poor will suffer. And many of the very people who voted for this agenda are now realizing they're being plagued again. Black Americans have always known the system wasn't designed to protect us, but this is brutal. This is betrayal. They said the bill was about helping the country, but who exactly is being helped? Not the elders trying to afford insulin, not the kids depending on SNAP to eat. This is about power, control, and keeping the most vulnerable communities in survival mode. So if you're tired of being pushed aside, if you're watching this and thinking, this ain't right, you are not alone. Let your voice be heard. Drop a comment below and tell your story, because silence is what we can no longer afford. Thank you so much for your time. Do have a lovely time. I'll see you in the next video.